What if I told you that a totally normal, everyday sentence could be a time capsule? Yeah, like a tiny fossil that perfectly preserves 1,000 years of invasion, class warfare, and even technological revolution. Well, today we're going to crack one open and prove it. Take a look at this sentence. The man saw the big house on the hill. Super simple, right? It feels basic, almost timeless. The words are easy, the structure is clear, you could say this right now and nobody would bat an eye. But that simplicity, it's all an illusion. Because, see, if you were to hop in a time machine, travel back to Anglo-Saxon England around the year 900 and try to say that, it would sound like this. I mean, look at that. It's completely unintelligible. It looks and sounds way more like German than the English we know and love today. So how on earth did that alien-sounding language morph into the words we just read? The answer isn't just about a few spelling changes here and there. No. It's the entire history of England packed into one single sentence. And we're about to solve this linguistic detective story together. So let's treat our sentence like a real archaeological dig. We're going to start excavating layer by fascinating layer. Our first stop, our deepest layer, is Anglo-Saxon England. This is the bedrock of English, a purely Germanic language that played by a totally different set of rules. And the most important rule was something called inflection. You know, today, word order is everything. Man bites dog is very different from dog bites man. But in Old English, it was the word's ending that acted like a grammatical GPS. It told you its role in the sentence, no matter where you put it. You can really see this system at work if you just look at the word the. In our one little sentence, it shows up as say, thought, and there. Why? Because every single noun had a gender, masculine, feminine, or neuter, and all the words connected to it had to change their endings to agree. So seman was masculine, dot hus was neuter, and there hille was feminine. It was a really complex interlocking system. But hang on, did you notice what's missing? The word big. It wasn't a word in Old English. An Anglo-Saxon would have said something like Michael, which you might recognize from the Old Scottish word mickle. The fact that big isn't there, that's our first major clue that something huge is about to change. And that something huge was the Vikings. Starting in the 8th century, Scandinavian settlers started living right alongside the Anglo-Saxons. Now, their languages, Old English and Old Norse, were kind of related, but all those different grammatical endings were super confusing. So just to get business done in the marketplace, people started dropping the complicated endings and just relied on a simple, fixed word order instead. The Vikings didn't really conquer the language, they simplified it. They sanded off to rough edges. So, with the grammar already getting simpler, a brand new invasion comes along and buries the language under a mountain of new words and a really rigid class structure. This was the Norman French Revolution. It all comes down to one year, 1066, the Norman Conquest. When William the Conqueror won the Battle of Hastings, he didn't just change who ruled England. He fundamentally changed how pretty much everyone spoke. You see, for the next 300 years, England basically had two languages. The ruling class, we're talking the court, the law, the government, they all spoke French. Meanwhile, the peasants working the land spoke English. This is exactly why the Anglo-Saxon farmer tended the coo and the sween, while the Norman lord up in the castle ate buff and pork. The language of labor was English, the language of luxury was French. Hey, remember our missing word, big? Well, it finally pops up around the year 1300. And where did it come from? It was a loan word from those Scandinavian settlers we just talked about, a linguistic fossil from the Viking era finally bubbling up into the mainstream. So by Chaucer's time, our sentence is really starting to look familiar. The complex grammar is long gone. But even a core English word like house has been changed. See that OU spelling? That comes directly from French-speaking scribes who were just writing down the English words they heard using the spelling rules they knew from French. All right, on to our final layer. This is where two powerful forces, one totally invisible and one technological, came together to polish the language into the form we recognize today. The first force was the Great Vowel Shift. This was this huge, kind of mysterious chain reaction where the pronunciation of all the long vowels just changed. Essentially, every vowel sound moved up in the mouth, creating a completely new soundscape for the entire language. Let's just take our word house. Back in the 1400s, it was pronounced hoose, like goose. But during the Great Vowel Shift, that oo sound changed, and by Shakespeare's time, it had become the ow sound we use today. The way a word looked on the page was suddenly becoming disconnected from how it sounded out loud. And that brings us to the second force, the printing press. See, printers needed to standardize spelling, and they decided to base it on 15th century pronunciation right as the Great Vowel Shift was busy changing all those sounds. The result? The printing press basically froze our spelling in time, leaving us writing a medieval language while speaking a modern one. Talk about bad timing. So, after digging through all those layers of history, let's look at our sentence one more time now that we know its incredible story. Here it is. The man saw the big house on the hill. It doesn't look so plain and simple anymore, does it? It's really a mosaic, with each little piece telling the story of a different time and a different group of people. Let's break it down one last time. The core words, man, saw, house, hill, that's the Germanic bedrock, with its grammar sanded down by the Vikings. Big is a Scandinavian stowaway, a relic of the Danelaw. That ow spelling in house, a little scar left behind by French scribes. And even the choice of the word house, and not the French palace or manor, frames the whole scene from the perspective of the common Anglo-Saxon, looking up at their Norman conquerors. You see, the English language wasn't designed by some committee. It was forged in the chaos of history, and every single sentence we speak, every day, carries the echoes of that amazing journey. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What history is hiding in the next sentence you say?